All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Daniel Bauer. I am so excited to speak with you today regarding how to have a powerful and amazing end to the 21-22 school year. Now, I have a ton of to share today. And as long as you're not driving, if you're watching the video or listening audio, checking out the podcast, I want to invite you to grab, a pen and some paper. You're going to definitely want to take some notes. Today's topic is about finishing the school year strong. And so, again, I introduced myself, Chief Ruckus Maker here, Daniel Bauer. I started Better Leaders, Better Schools back in 2015. At that time, it was just a dream. I remember writing it down in my journal, and it's amazing to see how those dreams have turned into a reality, which, by the way, is one of my superpowers, teaching others to turn their dreams into reality as well. Uh, the mastermind is something that I'm known for. Recently, I put out a book a few months ago, earlier in 2021, published by Corwin and AASA. It's called Mastermind: Unlocking Talent Within Every School Leader. And that book's doing really well. It's changing the landscape of how school leaders experience professional development. And I've heard that it's funny, it's conversational, it's well researched, and definitely a great read. So check that out if you haven't picked that up yet. Uh, Serving leaders within the context of a mastermind has been, just absolutely a gift to me, and it's just truly a remarkable experience. I have something called a just cause. Just cause idea comes from Simon Sinek in The Infinite Game. My just cause is to connect, grow, and mentor every school leader who wants to level up. And so that's why I'm streaming live. I've taken some time off, and now I'm back to work. You're going to love today's stories, teachings, message. If winter break needed to be longer for you, right? And you might not feel fully restored. If that's you, then this message is for you. If your staff has been struggling, right, and you're really worried about them, about their mental health, emotional health, physical health, all that kind of stuff, then you're going to love this message. And then finally, if you're worried, even just how you're going to end the school year, right? The message, again, the title is Ending the School Year Strong. And if you're worried that it's going to be more of a limp across the finish line versus a sprint and finishing the metaphorical race strong, then you're going to love this message as well. In terms of why this message, this topic is important, I got this new watch. If you're watching on video, you can see it's a Garmin Phoenix 6. Listen, this is a really cool watch. And shout out to my friend Mitch Weathers. He runs a fantastic company that supports educators called Organized Binder. But if you know Mitch, like, he loves to hike. He does marathons, ultras, trail running, that kind of thing. And he introduced me to this watch. And it's really important because, listen, when I first moved to Syracuse a few years ago in upstate New York, I went out for a run. I like to run myself as well. Um, but I got lost. I got lost, and that added 5 miles to my trip, which was just, ugh, no good. It was in the summer. I didn't have water. I mean, obviously, luckily, it's Syracuse, so it's not like I was gonna die out there. But it did become quite frustrating because I got off course. And of course, that's a metaphor for the message too, right? If you don't have a plan for where you're going, then you might as well get there. Sounds like a Yogi Berra quote, right? But you have to be intentional about where you're headed. The other thing that I love about this watch in terms of Garmin, and there's a lot of apps that do this type of stuff, right? You could earn badges. You earn badges. And so on New Year's Eve, I earned the Finish Strong badge. And on New Year's Day, I earned the Start Strong badge. Now, it's funny because it's not like you get anything. You don't get money. You don't really get recognition. It's not like you get a T-shirt in the mail or anything. It's just a digital badge that I see on my cell phone. But it meant something to me that I was working hard toward that. And I share that story because, again, this message is about how do you finish your school year strong? Just finishing the 2021 year running. I think it was 4 miles that day. Like, it felt good to earn that badge. Okay. Um, a few benefits for what I'm about to teach you too. So, three benefits. if you would benefit from having more confidence and peace of mind at the second half of this school year, then this message is for you. If you would benefit from having a staff that's engaged, connected, and flourishing, you're going to love this message. And the last benefit is if you would love to have an abundance of energy that you could draw on at any time, then this message is for you as well. I promise I'm going to teach you everything that I can on this topic in this short amount of time. And for those of you that want to go deeper and play bigger in 2022, then I'll tell you about a very special offer as well at the end of this teaching. So, do you have your pen and paper in hand? Are you ready to go to take notes? Let's get to it. All right. This message is basically built on the foundation is this new flagship program that I've created called the Principal Success Path. The first cohort launched last summer. So in the summer of 2021, it was awesome. 26 leaders from around the world joined our community and they went through the program. It's an 8-week program. It's built on 5 steps. And today I'm going to unpack some of those steps for you. The 5 steps in terms of the Principal Success Path are your 90-day plan, Ruckus Maker mindset, useful feedback and radical candor, goals, accountability, and achievement. And then the last step, step number 5, is what I call powerful community. And so I'd like to go through some of those steps with you right now. And the first one we're going to talk about is mindset. Mindset is probably the most important topic when it comes to leadership. And it's really interesting because I think that mindset is often overlooked, right? And the crazy thing about that is when you invest in your mindset, you start to see that everything flows from how you think. You know, Walt Disney said, if you dream it, you can do it. And what I've learned about success, performance, leadership is that the messages, the content, the people I surround myself with, and the training that I put into my performance, it all begins with mindset, right? The messages I think about, I meditate on, those are super important because they actually heavily influence the type of outcomes that I experience. This is really important too because I mentioned in the introduction, if winter break wasn't as restorative as you would have liked, and you would benefit from having an abundance of energy that you could tap into at any time, then it all flows from mindset. I think it was maybe 2017. I wrote about this in my book, Mastermind: Unlocking Talent Within Every School Leader. And it's a sad story. It does not have a happy ending. But I remember coming across a news article where a principal in Australia, her name was Trish Antilov, she died at her desk leading a school, right? It was not uncommon. The reporters, spoke to her husband. It was not uncommon for her to put in a crazy amount of hours. And that's not uncommon for most school leaders that I know. And her bereaved husband, he told the reporters she just felt like she didn't have time to take care of herself. And her reality, the negative outcome was that she passed away, unfortunately, at her desk. And if you're not careful, that could happen to you as well, right? And so what I want to teach is what I call the Ruckus Maker mindset. And shout out to my coach right now, one of them, his name's Ron Reich. And he taught me this, and I now use it in the mastermind. So the Ruckus Maker mindset is part of 5 things, 5 aspects. It is eating, moving, sleeping. So eating, sleeping, moving, meditating, and unplugging, right? We don't need to go into a deep dive right now about all those aspects. They're fairly common. And again, common sense, unfortunately, isn't common practice. But one of the things we do within the mastermind, and one of the things that I'd love for you to consider if you're watching the video or listening to the podcast, consider your Ruckus Maker mindset, right? When it comes to eating, sleeping, moving, meditating, and unplugging, And let's say you score yourself. 1 is terrible, 5 is amazing. How would you score yourself on each domain? And when I talk about having an abundance of energy that you could tap into at any time, it's actually just about taking care of yourself. And that starts with mindset, Ruckus Maker mindset, making sure you're eating healthy foods, right? Sleeping, research says 7 to 8 hours. Moving your body. So I've been running a lot. I love the Peloton. I've done CrossFit in the past, play football, soccer as it's known in America. All these things help me move, but it doesn't have to be that. It could just be walking around too, brisk walk. Just make sure that you're moving. Meditation, I'm talking in a secular sense. You could do it in a spiritual sense, but secular, just taking time to pause, to breathe, to notice, what's coming up within your mind. And the interesting thing there is that you'll learn that uh, the good and the bad that you experience in life, it's fleeting. It doesn't stick around, right? And that's important to note, especially in the topsy-turvy world, which is school leadership. Whew, you could really hold on to things, but holding on is a choice. So whether it's the good or the bad, right? Just notice that it dissipates, it's gone. Another thing that's been an incredible benefit, last thing I'll say regarding meditation, is that it's really helped me improve my focus. So when it comes to performance, high performance, and creating more value within my organization, Better Leaders, Better Schools, or within your school or district, if you meditate, you'll have more focus, be able to drown out the noise and do your most important work for the day. So that's meditation. And then the last one, unplugging, I suspect that might be the most difficult for ruckus makers all around the world. And I'll tell you what, taking time off is an area where I want to level up in 2022. At the end of 2021 in December, I remember in my ELF mastermind, it's a different mastermind I'm a part of, just was really convicted, challenged by a speaker talking about having enough time to recuperate. And actually, there's a quote, I don't have it memorized, but the gist, it comes from Dr. Michael Gervais, who coaches high performers, Olympians, CEOs, and so on. He says, at the elite stage, the elite world stage, nobody is talking about like hustle or grinding and all this kind of stuff. Everybody is already a hard worker if you've made it to that level. And so what the top performers really talk about is recuperation. And one of the best ways to renew your energy and have an abundance of energy, besides eating, sleeping, moving, and meditating, it's taking time off, right? So unplug from social. Check this video out, right? Check this podcast out. Don't put it away just yet. But limit all the inputs that you have coming on. Maybe you need a actual sort of time when it's no phone, like a no phone zone, or times when like, all right, the phone's going off and I'm not even using it anymore. And so those are some things that you can do to unplug. For me, I took off from December 20th to the 31st, and that was again very, very difficult, but I need to do that. And I mapped out maybe about 45 days in 2022 where I'll just be taking time off because I know, and it's sort of this inverse relationship. The more time I take off, the better I feel, and then I could create even better stuff for you, ruckus makers, when I am turned on. So that's all I have to say about ruckus maker mindset, and that was the first thing I wanted to talk about today. So let's move on to culture. So culture is a great thing to discuss. I think it was Todd Whitaker who said, when the principal sneezes, everybody in the building catches a cold, right? And that's because as a school leader, you are a meteorologist. You dictate the climate. You dictate the weather of a building and how you show up. See how it's all connected? Mindset, taking care of yourself, culture. Seth Godin, one of my mentors, says, you get the culture you deserve. Ooh, ouch. Like that hurts, really. It honestly does. But how I show up in this moment is going to impact everybody that's watching this video. It impacts the organization, so on and so forth. So if your staff is struggling and you're worried about them and you'd like to experience the benefit of having an engaged, connected, and flourishing staff, then think about how you are showing up. And then I'm going to share a few things in terms of culture right now, what you can do to build it better. If you don't do it, I think I've sort of talked about this already, but it's like the metaphor of a neglected garden, right? So it's not bearing fruit, the soil is not fertile. Again, like Seth Godin said, you get the culture you deserve. And so you want to toil that soil. You want to make deposits into your people. You'll have a better culture. So here's a few ways to do that. Help people see the good in everything. Honestly, right? The last 2 years, obviously, very, very hard, very difficult, very challenging. And I think people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. They need leaders to show up, to hear, to empathize with where they're at, but not allow them to stay there forever. You know, we need people that are positive, optimistic, that have an abundance mindset that can, because here that infects the culture in a good way. Everybody catches a cold when the leaders, or everybody catches a cold when the leader sneezes, right? And so this is what it's all about. So one of my favorite questions when people are stuck in a rut and they're kind of in a negative downward spiral, and this is the one, like if you write down anything besides Ruckus Maker mindset, write this question down. You're going to have critics, and that's fine. You're going to have people who are challenging your ideas, and naysayers that just say, Danny, this is not going to happen. Here's the question. What would need to be true to accomplish X, right? So it's saying, I hear you, there's obstacles. This isn't going to be easy, but we want to achieve this really amazing result. So what would need to be true to accomplish X? Whatever that amazing thing is that you're going after, that's an incredible question. Another idea that you might consider using is setting a timer for people complaining. So I got to censor myself, but one of my friends, and she's a mastermind member and actually mastermind coach, um, she calls it a high speed, you know what session, right? Complaining session, but it's a more colorful word. And so she does it high speed. There's a time limit. People can't complain for the entire duration of the meeting because we know, like, if you give that stuff space like a fire, it will consume everything. But if you give it some constraints, some boundaries, people get off their chest, they'll feel heard, and then you can get to the real important stuff that you are connecting on. So those are 2 points. Last point I want to say is consider reading, if you haven't read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. This is a story, and I would argue, and if you don't agree with me, that's fine. But I would argue that living through a Nazi concentration camp is a lot harder than any privileged person. I certainly have privilege. Life isn't great during the pandemic. I definitely want things to get back to quote unquote normal. And the last 2 years have been hard, but not as hard as Auschwitz. Let's be real, right? Viktor Frankl survived Auschwitz. And in Man's Search for Meaning, he talked about the mindset that he had to still see the beauty in life. And if he could turn around his mindset in those horrific conditions, don't even try to tell me that you can't do it within education during a pandemic for the last 2 years. And yes, teacher shortages, people leaving. Guess what? That's true in every single industry. It is not just education, it's everywhere because people are just having a tough time, which is why we need optimistic, positive leaders to lead us through this difficult time. So that's all I want to say about culture. And we're going to move on to the last idea, which is the 90-day plan. So this is important because what's interesting, I'm going to forget the author's name. It's like Michael Neal, maybe Michael O'Neill, but the book is 90-day plan. Highly suggest it for sure. And what I find is that it's very common for leaders to create a 90-day plan at the beginning of the year. Like a lot of effective leaders do that. But what I've never seen, why don't they do it for the next 90 days? Or after winter break, why isn't there a new 90-day plan? I've literally not seen it yet. And it just dawned on me after I created the Principal Success Path that this cycle is repeatable and you should do it every single 90 days. It aligns with how I organize my goals and structure the things that I want to achieve. It's a deeper teaching that we're not going to do here, but I like structuring using a format called Objectives and Key Results. A resource that I'll just throw out there for you. You can check out the book Measure What Matters by John Doerr. But the highlight in terms of a 90-day plan is, what do you want to accomplish in your first day? What do you want to accomplish in your first week, first month, first 60 days, first 90 days, right? And so I'm just telling you, do that 90-day plan with your re-entry into the school year after winter break. What happens if you don't do it? I've shared this Seneca quote like millions of times, literally, because it's my favorite, absolutely favorite quote on vision. Seneca said, the Stoic philosopher, if one does not know to which port one is sailing, then no wind is favorable, right? The metaphor is, you're on a ship, wind is at your sails, you're heading somewhere, but do you know where you're going? Okay. And that's all I really want to share about the 90-day plan. So today, what we talked about in this live video, which is also a podcast, we talked about Ruckus Maker mindset, we talked about culture, and we talked about a 90-day plan. And in terms of the benefits of taking action, remember John Doerr, Measure What Matters? He said ideas are easy. That's what I'm doing right now, sharing ideas. Execution, though, is everything. So take something. I hope you took some notes. Make a plan, whether it's the 90-day plan, how you doing on Ruckus Maker mindset. When do you plan on asking your staff what would need to be true for us to accomplish X? Like, actually do it, or none of this matters at all, right? So that's really important. The benefits of implementing these ideas, you're going to have confidence and peace of mind that you're going to finish strong at the end of the year. I guarantee that you'll have a staff that is more engaged, connected, and flourishing. And finally, especially with that Ruckus Maker mindset, if you think about that, if you grade yourself daily, weekly on that, if you make a plan to eat, move, sleep, meditate, and unplug regularly, you're going to have, honestly, an abundance of energy, even in a pandemic, that you can draw on at any time because you're taking care of yourself. Seriously. All right. So now let's talk about how you can take this information and apply it in the real world to get amazing results. And like I mentioned at the beginning of today's teaching, I launched the Principal Success Path. It's a flagship offer. It's a brand spanking new framework and program that we did in the summer of 2021. And we're launching our second cohort ever in 2022 in February. It's an 8-week program. It's asynchronous and synchronous. So there's content that you can enjoy at any time. But then there's regular meetups virtually where people dive deeper into the content, discuss how they're going to create, for example, their 90-day plan and give each other feedback. So it's really a super cool program. And by doing it with other leaders, right, you're not doing it alone. Greg Sachicoli, who I had on the podcast, I think in the first year that I created it, he wrote a book called The Enemies of Excellence. And according to Greg, and I believe this too, the number one enemy to excellence is isolation. What I would add to that, and people, they don't like hearing this, so I'm sorry if I offend you, isolation is a choice. So if you feel like you are a silo as a principal, assistant principal, school leader, guess what? That's actually on you. You could do something about it. So one of the things you could do about it, you could join Principal Success Path. You can join a mastermind. The point is, and of course, I would love to work with you, but the point is to get connected, right? Because that's like the higher goal, to connect, grow, and mentor every school leader who wants to level up. I'd love to do that within Better Leaders, Better Schools, but that doesn't matter to me. What matters is that you just do it somewhere, because that's going to be a win. And remember the BLBS motto, everybody wins when you get better, okay? So this program will be launching again in February next month. Again, there's 5 steps to it. So your 90-day plan, Ruckus Maker mindset. We only touch briefly. Like I stopped counting after 30 hours of content, honestly. So 90-day plan, Ruckus Maker mindset, feedback and radical candor, goals, achievement, and accountability, and then powerful community. There's 2 bonus modules too for everybody that joins. And what's funny is when I when I tell people about the bonus modules, they're like, "That's actually all I need." The other 5 steps, like the actual principal success path, that's cool, but I want the bonus modules. So drum roll, please. The bonus modules are time mastery and creating world-class cultures. So we dive deep into those 2 topics, and it's really, I mean, if I could say so myself, it's awesome content. The last thing I want to close with is if you apply to this program, right? So you could Google Principal Success Path. That'll bring up, it should be the top hit. Or if you go to betterleadersbetterschools.com/Principal Success Path, all one word, you can apply there. But for the first 5 people that apply, right, and then eventually join. So this bonus isn't for people who just apply; it's for people who apply and join. But for the first 5 that apply and join, I will lead a virtual leadership workshop for you and your team. Okay, that could be virtual or it could be face to face, actually. And for those that want the live Danny experience, which is awesome, then I'm going to waive my fee. So this is like a crazy bonus. You don't have to pay all this money for me to come in and speak to your team. Actually, all I'm going to ask is that you cover my airfare, food, and hotel. But the speaker, that daily rate, the workshop rate, don't even worry about that. Totally waiving it. So benefits of the program again: leading with confidence, leveling up your leadership, growing your network, and engaging with other powerful ruckus makers around the world who want to do education differently and are looking to level up in 2022. So go over to betterleadersbetterschools.com/Principal Success Path, all one word. You'll get the 5 steps, the 90-day plan, Ruckus Maker mindset, useful feedback, radical candor, goals, achievement, and accountability, powerful community. And then you'll get the bonuses, time mastery, world-class culture. And for the first 5 people that apply and eventually sign up for the February 2022 cohort, I'll come in or do a virtual leadership workshop. So that's it. Have an amazing 2022. Thanks for checking out today's show, and go make a ruckus. Bye for now.